Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
We are RFG and BAC filling in for BKP. I don't know if this is a surprise or what, but Brian promised you a surprise, and I don't know if it's a nightmare, a surprise, or what it is. Anyway, you probably have seen us before if you tune in on the All-Star panel in the morning on Fridays with Jane, but we're here today to take care of a little downtime for Brian. He had to run to another meeting. He's running and gunning these days.
He always going to commission meetings.
I know. How many counties do you all cover now, Josh? You guys up to 100 yet? Yeah, we're getting close, he said. I tell you what, we're gonna need to clone Brian. So 12 counties, all right.
All right.
We got kind of a serious thing to talk about this morning, and that is, our good friend who comes in and does Meet the Doc. He's
on Fridays mornings in front of us.
Meet the Doc, Doc Whaley, who's part of the Northside cancer specialist.
William Whaley.
William Whaley. He's one of the leading oncologists in the country, and I think maybe could be one of the longest practicing oncologists. Mm-hmm. But we are sorry to report that Doc may not have a job anymore as of the 2020 election if Biden gets in. Did you hear about this?
Yes, Dr. Biden.
Dr. Biden said that he will cure cancer, which will put Doc Whaley out of a job we're afraid of. So we were laughing in the car this morning coming over. Bruce came up with a great idea. And I think, Josh, if you'll show me that little piece that we've got set up, this is what we're going to be able to, this is our new nickname for hiding Biden these days. Josh, have you got that up that you could show us?
They call him Flipper, faster than lightning. No one you see is smarter than...
That was great. Let me tell you what's cool about this, about Josh and the way he operates in here. We came in here literally 15 minutes ago, and I said, Josh, can you bring up the themes? Do you remember Flipper? Oh, yeah, got it. Boom, boom, boom. 3 keystrokes, and man, he's right on it. But that was really good. How many times has he flipped now?
Oh, yeah, let's go beyond count. I mean, now China is a threat to us. A month ago was no big deal.
No big deal. Folks. Yeah, well, I know those guys.
Folks. Yeah,
they mess around here and there. Yeah, they mess around with his son, and they give him how many $1 million when he walks over there with absolutely no experience. Next thing we know, the Bank of China's bankrolling his venture firm or his whatever he's got.
Yeah, he's got a capital venture firm.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Pretty nice. And then the Hyde Amendment, a month ago he was for it, and then 2 days.
The Hyde Amendment, 1976.
No federal monies for abortion.
Right. 41 years the guy has been on the Hyde Amendment. He said, I absolutely back it. So what happens?
Last week he came out and said, I'm sticking by the Hyde Amendment. He got all kinds of flack.
And then that twit, Melissa Milano. Alyssa Milano. Yeah, the one that's was lobbying at the Georgia Capitol to not have the heartbeat bill. She apparently called his campaign manager whining, and next thing we know, Joe is Flipper, once again.
And on top of that, he's got a new campaign logo, which he plagiarized from Daniel Avenatti. Let's make America again.
Yeah. Where did that come from, Joe, huh?
The guy is just out of control. I mean, he's losing it.
We'll go down this road, if you will.
Okay.
There's how many candidates now? 36?
No.
26?
Yeah. It's
whatever.
It's a double baker's dozen. So, 26, whatever.
A double baker's dozen. Okay. Now you want me to have bagels. I want bagels now.
A nice cake donut. Come on.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. So they got all these candidates. Not one of them is nationally recognized.
Well, other than Joe.
Other than Joe, that's what
Yeah.
I was going to say. Other than Joe. You know, you've got Commie Bernie, and then you go down to Pocahontas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you got Pete Buttigieg from
South
South
Bend,
Bend,
Indiana.
Indiana. He doesn't know what he wants to be.
And you got the lady senator from California, Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, who comes out this morning and says, if I'm elected, I vow to prosecute Trump. Prosecute him on what? You know,
Yeah.
you just can't make this stuff up now. She's
Nothing
gonna be,
burger.
She's going to be a prosecutor if she wins. Biden is going to be able to
Cure
cancer, put Doc Whaley out of a job.
Yeah.
And what's Bernie going to do? And then AOC is pushing the new Green Deal to all of these folks.
Yeah, she's also pushing, she thinks all the congressmen and senators should get a raise.
Yeah, she just can't make it in her new luxury apartment on 174 grand a year. My goodness.
Yep.
Plus expenses.
Yep. Yep.
You know, sleep in your office, AOC. Maybe you'd save some dough.
It's amazing.
You can do your selfie videos from inside your office there.
It just, beyond belief.
Yeah.
Beyond
Anyway,
belief.
Joe is the one though. Do you think he's going to make it?
No. I think, he's already started to slip in the Iowa poll. And again, I think people want to put him through the ringer, all these candidates, to see like who really is going to step up and kind of act meaningful or say things that are going to resonate with the Democratic faithful. So no, I think at the end of the day he's not going to be their candidate. But I mean, then you default to Bernie. Bernie is kind of like the next behind him, but I mean he's toxic.
He is totally toxic for the party.
Yeah.
I know we're biased on this. Yeah.
Me?
Well, we are. I mean, if people don't know who we like, then they've never watched it, and maybe that's just as well. But
Hey.
you try to separate the partisanship a little bit and say, okay, let's talk about this from a practical standpoint. Excuse me. Yeah. Does Joe really have a shot? I don't think so. I think he's going to do just like he did in the past. He's gonna. I don't know that he can win Iowa.
Well, you look how much he's like trying to pander to every possible interest
That's
group.
his MO.
Well, yeah, I mean, and a lot of them seem to be doing that for the Democratic primary.
Right.
But then when you go to a national election against Trump, I mean,
Then you got to become more centrist.
yeah, and you wonder how many positions they're going to pull back from. Well, I didn't really mean that, and it's like,
Q flipper.
yeah, as they say in Louisiana, they're going to start crawfishing, backing up big time.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure. Once you get past Bernie and Joe, you get down to the Pete Buttigieg, you get to Kamala, you get to the other guy from California, Yang, and interestingly enough, no one's heard from Howard Schultz, the Starbucks guy. He sort of pulled in his horns and disappeared from the world stage.
Boy, you're not kidding. I never even think about. Excuse me, I
So,
didn't think about that.
I don't know if he's just, keeping his gunpowder dry or, he basically got soured on it or, people got to him. It'll be interesting to see if he comes back into play. And, of course, there's rumors that Hillary is, at the War College trying to, hone her skills. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting 18 months or less now.
What about Bloomberg? You're an old coal storage guy, dry bulk, liquid bulk.
Yeah.
He's putting his money.
Yeah.
Manchin's pushing back hard.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, money talks, but I mean,
To those of you who've missed it, Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York, has put up $5 million.
More than that, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, 5 or maybe 10 million.
Well, to try to eradicate the coal industry. I mean, if people would just step back and take a look, and I've learned from Bruce, there is no way within I don't know how many years, even if it was a concerted effort, we could wean this world off of coal.
Not going to happen. And along those lines, I have something here. You know, the Paris Accord.
We didn't talk about this. This is
Yeah, we just got the stuff here.
just came across the wire.
The Paris Accord, of course, was that climate control bill that the UN pushed very strongly, and everybody got on board, and Obama was for it, but it never got ratified in the House and the Congress. And then Trump came in and just pulled out of it completely. And supposedly that was going to be the answer to the CO2 emissions in the world. But basically, the U.S. emissions are the only industrialized power country that is going down. Our emissions through use of natural gas and things like that, catalytic converters on the cars, all that sort of good stuff, has brought ours down. And I heard a statistic the other day that there's something like only 15 or 18 coal-fired power plants left in the U.S. There's a lot of them that have been decommissioned because natural gas has taken over. Okay, but let's look at the numbers for the rest of the world. The ROW. In Europe right now, there are 468 existing coal-fired stations. They're going to be adding about another 30. In India, there's 589 coal-powered stations.
With how many under construction?
Well, 446, almost doubling the amount in India. And again, you have to remember some of these are like regional, very small. They're not huge power plants like most of the ones in the U.S. The big hitter, China. They have 2,363 power plants now. They're expected in the next 10 years to build another 1,171. So if you look at an emissions map now, I mean, China and India are the big red plumes. That's where most of the CO2 emissions are coming from. So whatever the U.S. is doing is not going to make a hill of beans difference in total global CO2 emissions. And you know, if you believe that science at the end of the day anyway, whatever we do here is not going to make one hill of beans difference. So
The bottom line is if we eliminate coal in this country, it's doubling in all the other parts of the world. So we'll be sitting with our thumbs you know where and trying to find work for all the out-of-work coal miners.
yeah, and coal is a U.S. resource. It's here. It's one of the cheapest resources to get to make power. And with a lot of new coal technology on scrubbers and all that sort of stuff on the stacks, it's very clean. It's become a lot cleaner than it used to be. And one thing people don't even think about with all this push towards electrification.
Exactly. Come on, say it.
So supposedly 20% or 25% of the automotive fleet by 2025, if you believe the auto companies, is going to be electric. Well, where's all that electric going to come from? There's not enough capacity if you have all these people in the electric cars going home every night, plugging in and drawing on the grid. So there's a lot of...
The only way you can supply the grid, make batteries, support that infrastructure is with what?
Coal power.
Coal power.
Yeah, because the best would be nuclear, but I mean, nuclear is like, castigated and it's probably not going to happen, even though that would probably be the cleanest power and the quickest to bring up to speed. So it's a regrettable situation that we're sort of shooting ourselves in the foot, in my opinion, that you have a resource that's ours, you have workers that are ours that'll be extracting it, processing it, and putting it into furnaces to make power.
Well, Manchin's pushing back hard on the Bloomberg thing, and he's made a career sticking up for the coal miners in West Virginia, obviously.
Yeah. West Virginia, Illinois, Ohio, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming,
Kentucky.
yeah. There's a lot of people that are dependent upon that, and the transportation system, rail, barge. I mean, a lot of people would be affected if coal were eliminated. So much like I take some umbrage with that 20% of the cars being electric by 2025, I would also say to Mr. Bloomberg, it ain't going to happen.
So you don't think that your favorite brand Audi out there is really going to go green all the way?
Well, yeah, I mean, all the car companies are like on this electrification bandwagon. I know Audi, the whole Volkswagen group is big. The U.S. companies are looking at it. Ford, GM are doing
Yeah,
it. All the car companies are looking at it. But I think they're overshooting the mark. I mean, internal combustion engines are going to be here well past our demise, and probably a long time in our children's lifetime. So I wouldn't hold my breath.
Well, anyway, where do you want to go?
Hong Kong?
Oh boy,
How about Hong Kong?
I'm sure glad I'm not there. Let's put
Yeah,
it that
really,
way.
really.
I'd be dodging rubber bullets, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's touch on that a little bit. And
Briefly,
briefly, we've got basically a young person uprising, trying to block the gates of the courthouse. And what are they protesting? They're protesting a
new law.
move, a move to extradite.
People in Hong Kong,
Right.
residents of Hong Kong, which are operating under the Sino-British agreement from 1997. It's the 50-year plan where
Goes to 2047,
it'll go to
correct?
2047.
Yeah.
Where Hong Kong is an autonomous region. It's not part of China. It's called Two Chinas, One System, or Two Systems, One China. Excuse me. And basically they, from their history before this deal was signed with the Brits, the British basically controlled Hong Kong, and they were given 50 years to be themselves, not beholden to Beijing, as it were. But now the legislature in Hong Kong has a majority pro-Beijing bloc, and they have decided to bring in this legislation.
And that block is big enough to control, to have a
rules for
supermajority.
ordinances in Hong Kong
Yeah.
that would apply to the people. And then basically they're saying, okay, if you commit a crime, you're not going to be tried under our rules, which are kind of like the English system. You're going to be treated under the mainland China rules, which are much harsher and really don't follow a very good rule of law. So a lot of young people are saying, BS to that. We like what we got here, and we have this treaty that goes to at least 2047, and we want to be independent of China. And so they're in the streets. They're shutting down streets. They're shutting down businesses, and
The fire hoses and the rubber bullets are rampant today.
tear gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Beijing, of course, doesn't like this. I mean, this reminds them quite a bit of Tiananmen, which they really don't like civil unrest. That's bad for the communist system. So it's going to be interesting.
Well,
to
it's
watch.
bad for the morale, right? They don't want anybody to know about any civil unrest for fear it may catch on and...
Yeah, the people will challenge their power. The Communist Party is all about power. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to watch, and along with all the other stuff going on with the China trade discussion and some of the island building they're doing in the South China Sea. So it's an interesting development. We have to keep our eye on that.
Yeah, as long as we're international, why don't we zip across back to Central America and talk a little bit about Guatemala, talk a little bit about Mexico, and the president's deal with Mexico. The acting, is it ICE or is it Homeland Security?
I think Homeland Security.
Has labeled this a true game changer. When the media would have you believe, the mainstream media would have you believe, it's all a hoax and it's not going to do any good and it really doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And
No, it is a game changer. It's a huge game changer. Mexico sat on their hands for like 3 decades, not doing anything, going, yeah, sounds good, we'll do that, and they don't do anything. Of course, there's quite a system of corruption in Mexico in terms of what the drug cartels pay politicians to,
Right.
Just have them la-di-da, la-di-da.
so what does Trump do? He tries to build a wall. That's stifled. He tries to move money from a Pentagon budget to try to help Homeland Security. That doesn't work.
He moves lots of troops to the border, too. Gets
Right.
criticized for that.
He gets criticized for that. He has no other choice. People criticize, well, he shouldn't be using tariffs. Well, okay, what should he use then to try to control the crisis at the border? He's tried everything else and he gets stifled at it. So the one tool that he's got at his disposal, he puts into play and it works. Yeah. You know, he
Hit him in the pocketbook.
he said we're going to hit you with 5%. And it's going to go up to 25%. The longer you sit on your thumbs. So while he's over looking very presidential, I might add, with the
D-Day.
the D-Day thing was off the chain. It was so good.
Yeah. He was very measured, very presidential. It was.
And you know the state
Good for
dinner,
us.
the state dinner at within the UK with the Queen.
With the Queen. Yeah.
Very, very well received. Even the mainstream media couldn't find. Well, they find some
Finally,
fault.
no, they
Yeah, well, they
finally
said
caved
his
in
suit
and said,
didn't
okay,
fit.
fine,
Yeah,
he's having a good day. What a good day.
They said his suit didn't fit, so everything, you know.
Oh, gee.
And you know, one of my winners was Melania. I mean, she was just
Her suit fit.
so. Yeah, her suit fit very well. But anyway, while that's going on over there, you know, they're working the Mexico thing. And and the 6,000 troops to the southern border to stifle
Mexico.
the influx of asylum seekers. And then I think the biggest is the asylum seekers.
have to stay in Mexico,
Right.
while everything gets processed, as opposed to just being here. I think for 20 days and
20
then they have
days
to be
is- yeah.
released. You talk about just an insane system for handling immigrants that are claiming asylum. I mean, they can only hold them 20 days and kick them out. Here's the number. Take your thumbprint and we'll see you in 3 years. Maybe.
Now, I didn't follow this part of it very well, but now did the House passed a version of a Dreamers bill just recently?
I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna have to look
Because
at
I've been
that.
on the road a couple days myself. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what exactly they've done.
Yeah,
'Cause they do so little.
It seemed like they wanted to do it simply for a gotcha message moment. Well, we passed this. We've got a refined Dreamers Act, and the Senate won't act on it. McConnell won't even bring it to the floor for a vote.
Yeah, I
We've
think-
done our job.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many slices of immigration. Visas and dreamers and legal versus illegal, and people that are born here that just happen to be traveling through the country. There's a lot to reform or look at again, but like taking these little pieces and then making a big political issue out of it.
The numbers-
just counterintuitive.
Right, the numbers that were given to that committee hearing about the arrests, about how many came across illegally, children, was astounding.
140,000, 144,000 in May.
Yeah.
And they don't have the facilities for that. I mean, they say agents that should be patrolling remote sections of the border are doing paperwork. And everybody knows this. The drug cartels know it, the people in Honduras know it. So, it's like, oh, the green light's on. They're so confused up there. Get in now while you can. That's why you're seeing these huge masses of people come.
Yeah.
The whole world knows it's a chance to get in. Even ISIS. The reports that ISIS are bringing people in,
Right.
mixed in with all the Hispanics.
Well, hopefully that's going to get resolved, and much to the chagrin of the Dems, who really, I think, just want secretly open borders.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you an interesting statistic. We lived in California and left in 1980. When we left
Smart man.
Well, it was to a better life. There were 23.5 million people in California when we left. Right now, there's 39.6 million people
Doubled.
in California. 27% of them are Hispanic. So that means over 10 million people in California are Hispanic. And, the big thing is, no one can tell you of that over 10 million people, how many are legal and how many are illegal. And you just, they're the biggest ethnic majority in California now. There's more Hispanics there than there are white Caucasians.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's flipped. So, the Democrats is a voting wedge, want to give votes to illegal immigrants, And if that happens, that changes all the congressional dynamics of California. More
That's what it's all-
representatives,
money.
electoral college votes.
Right.
Yeah, it changes the game dramatically. So that's where it's going, folks. That's the big end game here. That it's very political and looking at voting blocks and power. You know.
And now Governor Gavin has decided that it's a good thing if we provide health care for all
Medicaid.
these young illegals.
Yeah, yeah.
Medi-Cal or whatever it's called out there.
Yeah, and you know, I've lived overseas, and you go into these other countries, and you know, forget about it. You cannot get on the medical systems easily. You know, you go through a very rigorous process. I had to carry an ID card with me when I lived in Belgium. It's not the same. It's nothing like the U.S. I mean, what the U.S. has become. The U.S. used to be much more regulated and you know worked within the rules and the laws. It's just total chaos now, and it's just going to hurt this country in the long run.
You know, I heard listening to Rush yesterday, there was a caller, and Rush agreed with this caller, and because he said he's been talking this up as well. You know, Trump never went to California. He just stayed out of there. There's thinking now that he should go out to California and go out to California and go out to California and campaign.
There is a conservative group
Very
in
conservative.
inland and Northern California.
You know, that when Reagan it was a red state in Reagan days.
They had the Republican governors regularly. Duke Majian, who's the other guy? After Duke Majian. Anyway, they had a number.
Not much Schwarzenegger.
Well, Arnold was sort of a
He was a
yeah. But there's another Pete Wilson
Pete Wilson, yeah.
was the other
Right.
governor of California back in the day.
And I'm not so sure that's not a good strategy. Now, granted, that's going to take some time away from what he's got to hold these Rust Belt states. But I'm not.
But the guy's got the energy to do it.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So
That's true. We'll see if Biden does. Anyway. Well, we've been all over the world. We've been over to China. We've been over to Hong Kong. We've been down to Mexico. We've traveled about on talking about coal plants that are coming into all these countries when we're supposed to succumb to electric power. Anyway.
Not enough electrons, folks.
Right. We're glad to be here. Rick and Bruce substituting for Brian this morning, who's taking a little bit of a shot to go over to the commission meeting this morning in Gilmer County and see what the latest is on the swimming pool saga. I'm sure you'll hear about that tomorrow. He'll also have a Blue Ridge segment tomorrow that probably will deal with some kind of a push to, I don't know, to inspect houses.
Find the money.
Find the money, yeah. Anyway, but why don't we take a pause for the cause here, Josh, and we'll thank some of those folks that make this wonderful telecast happen. And when we come back, we're going to do, how about we, I know you guys have a great sports show here, but Bruce and I like sports too, so we're going to touch on a few sport things in our last half hour. Josh, please take us to break.